Welcome, everybody. I've got 8:30. We're going to start on time. We'll try to stay on time, which is hard work for the speakers, but they'll see me get antsy in the corner when they go over time. And just want to welcome everybody to the SWAAN, Southwest Agroforestry Action Network. We've been together for about 5 years planning these programs. Let me back up a slide here. And just want to introduce you all to Mick O'Neill. Mick. Jim Allen. Say hi, Jim. Andy Mason. Donna Davis. Steve Price, hopefully is on virtually. And Kelly Bull. And we are the executive committee for SWAAN. And so thank you so much for coming to this. I've got some important people to share a welcome with you. I've invited my boss, Dr. Ed Martin, who is the Director of Cooperative Extension and Vice Provost and Vice President. And so, Ed, come on up and I'll get up the land acknowledgement. Thank you.
Yeah, it all works for me. Don't worry, Chris, that's fine. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Tucson. Hi, Mick. How are you? Long time no see. Yeah, Mick and I did some work way back in the day in Four Corners irrigation when I was just a youngin' doing irrigation work here at the University of Arizona. I started with the U of A back. Started with the U of A back in 1992. I guess we're okay. As irrigation specialist, and then worked my way through. So the first thing I'd like to do is the land acknowledgement, which is in the middle of Colleen's wording. We respectfully acknowledge that the University of Arizona is on the land and the territories of indigenous people of Arizona, is home to 22 federally recognized tribes, with Tucson being the home of the O'odham and Yaqui. We're committed to diversity and inclusion, and the university strives to build sustainable relations with the sovereign Native nations and indigenous communities through educational offerings, partnerships, and community service. I will tell you this, that the University of Arizona has the largest FERTEP, federally recognized extension tribal program in the nation. We're leading the nation working with our tribes here in Arizona, so it's something we take very, very seriously, and we are very, very proud of. Well, I asked Chris what he wanted me to do this morning. He said, well, if you could do the land acknowledgement and, whatever else you wanted to do. And I said, oh, really? Whatever else I want to do? So you got to be careful. You give a microphone to an extension guy and it's going to take a while. But first, I want to congratulate Chris and the entire team on creating an outstanding agenda with speakers from across the West. And I also wanted to make sure that all of you are aware of how important the work is that you do. Our request at Cooperative Extension here in Arizona for agroforestry has increased tremendously over the last few years. People are looking for alternatives to better agricultural practices, utilizing trees. And so they keep calling us up and asking us, what information do you have? How can you help us? As a matter of fact, and I think I just saw Rodolfo Morales walk in over there. We were at a meeting on Monday where it was in the Verde Valley. The Verde Valley is north of here, just south of Flagstaff. And we had a talk about regenerative agriculture there. That was the main topic. But we took them to one of our ag experiment stations we have up there, DK Ranch, beautiful ranch that we have up in that area. And, it's all nice, beautiful pasture and all. And one of the folks there said, you guys got some beautiful pasture here. This is really great, but where are the trees? This really could become quite a experimental station if you guys would have some sort of agroforestry plan in place, because all I see is pasture, 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 pasture. There could be some trees in here. So already there's some interest generating there. I also want to let you know that your work is important. Not only is it needed, but you will help generations of communities to come. I like to use a quote that a society grows great when old people will plant trees under which they will never sit and enjoy the shade. And that's really what we're talking about here. Some of the work that you're doing, I might not have the opportunity to necessarily enjoy, because we all know it takes years for trees to grow. But you need to keep planting. Please keep researching. Please keep educating. Some of us might not be around to enjoy it all, but our children will, and our children's children will most certainly will. So please keep the work you're doing, keep going. We need it more than ever. I thank you for the attention. Thank you for the opportunity to address you, and have a great conference. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Red. Thank you, Ed. I do want to refer you to your folder. In your folder, we have the program as well as a detailed program with presentation descriptions and speaker biographies. So I'm making kind of short work with making introductions to our speakers, but we've got some great information in here on who they are. They're very important. I'm really grateful to have them all here. Next person up is Ralph Ware. He's our Assistant State Conservationist. And so he's speaking on behalf of the NRCS Natural Resource Conservation Service, State Conservationist Keisha Tatem, maybe speaking on his own half. And Ralph, come on up here and please share a little bit about agroforestry and NRCS for this group. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Good morning. It's great to be here among friends. And I know we're friends because everybody in this room has a passion in some shape or form for natural resources. And that's always a good audience to be a part of. So thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to join. I'm not the person in my family that's in charge of welcomes, right? So this is a little bit awkward for me. I'm not the social component of my family, but I do want to thank you and welcome you on behalf of NRCS in Arizona and throughout the West, and on behalf of my supervisors, State Conservationist. Tucson is home base for me. I work. My position is I'm in charge of our field operations throughout the state. The way we're structured, we have 9 different teams kind of scattered around, and I get the privilege of working with the team leaders. They supervise their own staff. I try to get them resources and try to guide them. And I also sit on the leadership team at the state level. I want to talk briefly about the history of NRCS. And again, I wasn't around for the Dust Bowl, but I came in probably shortly after that. I've got a rich career leaning in the direction of 50 years in federal service, and I still have a lot of fun doing what I do. I'm actually I'm still having fun. Things change enough and they're challenging enough that it's fun to go to work every day and try to contribute in some fashion. But everybody knows about the Dust Bowl and how NRCS, actually the Soil Erosion Service, was born as a result of the Dust Bowl. And we have evolved since then, hopefully for the better. We became the Soil Conservation Service, and then eventually we became the Natural Resources Conservation Service. And over the years, Congress has given us different mandates, and as anyone that works or has worked for the federal government, you know, you work for your boss, and your boss pretty much is Congress and the public. And so whatever administration is in place and whatever congressional team puts together through the Farm Bill, that is our priority. That is our mandate over the next 5 years, plus or minus, because Congress, as you know, sometimes has trouble meeting that window for making it exactly 5 years. Our traditional role was mostly technical assistance to farmers and ranchers. Over time, that evolved, and we inherited the financial assistance programs, and we still partner very closely with the Farm Service Agency to jointly administer that program. Also, Congress, I would say probably for the past 15 years, has been very generous in their funding for natural resource programs. They I won't say they stay the course from point A to point B, from one farm bill to the next, because every farm bill brings new things. Sometimes we kick things out the door. Sometimes we bring on new challenges, new initiatives. So as a good bureaucrat, we look to those challenges and figure out what can we do. I'm really glad to be here. I'm not the social person. I'm also not, if you look at my resume and my transcripts and stuff like that, I'm not a forester, but I've got a strong appreciation for forestry. I grew up on a fruit and vegetable farm in Michigan, and about half of our land was forested, and we did a fair amount of forestry work way back when. Our current day role is, compared to 10 years ago or 20 years ago, our programs have expanded significantly. We do get involved in forestry. Under the last Farm Bill, we also had a mandate through Congress to implement an urban ag small scale farming initiative, and we are part of that. We have Maricopa County is one of the 17 pilots within the US, where Congress said, we want you guys working with the customers that are, the small scale urban type farmers. It's awkward. It's for our staff. For me, it's like old home week, because working with people that are community gardeners and things like that. I grew up on a fruit and vegetable farm, so for me, it's kind of like, wow, this is really cool stuff. But we're transitioning in that direction. We do a fair amount, not a lot of forestry work. And Emilio's on the program this afternoon. He is our state rangeland specialist, but he also has responsibility for forestry programs within NRCS. A lot of what people think and hear about when they think of NRCS is the programs that that Congress gives us to deliver to the public. And one of those is the Environmental Quality Incentive Program. We do have a fair amount, not a huge amount. We have an engagement with the forest resources. And again, that's kind of scary for us, because we don't even have a forester on staff. So it's like, okay, how do you do that? Well, okay, we figure it out. And what we do is a lot of our work and a lot of our role is to figure out what kind of partnerships. And I think anybody in this room that engages with natural resources and you're working on a particular part of our natural resource environment, you know that your partnerships are what make things work, what get things done. And for us, from NRCS, we have I'll throw a couple numbers at you, and I don't see Chris waving me down yet, so I'll take another 3 minutes. Is that I've used 3 minutes, or I have 3 minutes left? Oh, it's down to 2 now. Oh my God. Oh, the pressure's on. Anyway, we in Arizona, again, most of our forestry work is in the high country, right? We have under our current Farm Bill programs, we have 34 different EQIP contracts that we have signed to engage forest management. And some of those on the eastern side of the state, that includes and Ed and others have talked about the tribal engagement. We have strong relationships with the White Mountain Apache tribe and with the San Carlos Apache tribe. Actually, of the 22 tribes, we have pretty strong relationships with about half of the tribes. And we have some large scale projects that tribes have taken advantage of to garner some of that federal funding. So they have timber stand improvement and they have understory improvement, things like that. And also some wildlife habitat practices that get implemented through those programs. So we have a total of 34 contracts that our staff is working to help implement. That's less than 10% of what work we have. We have roughly at any one time, we have about 500 formal contracts with landowners to do land improvements. Of those 34, there's about 51 of those that have timber stand improvement practices. And then there's a second practice, being a cropland person by nature and being a fruit and vegetable by origins. I'm not even sure what the woody residue treatment is. Emilio can tell you what that means. But we work on about 124 individual items within those contracts to help with forestry. Altogether, it's a little over $3 million worth of your tax dollars going to address those forestry concerns. That's pretty minimal, because as you all know, it's costly to do conservation. And so Congress gives us the financial resources to help people get those done. It's not 100%, it's not a grant. It is a cost sharing program where we have that relationship. And I guess the final point I would make is that partnerships is really what it's all about in our world and in just about everything we do with our customers and with the agroforestry. We can do a lot better, but a lot of times what we do is, and we're about 120 staff total in the state. We're not a big agency, especially in Arizona. We're about 120 people, but we rely heavily on our partners. And just like with Dr. Martin, we have a partnership, a formal partnership. We do a lot of things informally, but we have a formal partnership with Extension in Maricopa County, and with the idea that we're going to work with urban agriculture and small scale agriculture. And together, when Congress gave us the mandate, I sat in Ed's office in Phoenix when he was there. And we're kind of like, well, we're both supposed to be doing some stuff related to urban small scale farming. What do we do? And so we began by putting a partnership together. We also have a partnership with the DFFM, the Arizona Division of Forestry and Fire Management, but that we've had for 3 or 4 years. Because like I say, we're not foresters, and DFFM is. So who do you go to? You know, it's like the guy that was up here earlier. He's the IT guy. And I said, I stay close to every IT person that I can, you know, because it's just a click away from me screwing something up. So anyway, partnerships. We have 15 agreements with our partners to do things that NRCS can't do by ourselves. We know wouldn't get done. So we partner with a lot of different nonprofits, with government agencies, with just about anybody. If we make eye contact and we say, yeah, maybe we ought to be working together, then we take it from there. But thank you. Have a great conference, and it's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ralph. It is super to have Dr. Martin, Ralph Ware, Director of Extension, State Conservationist, to support this program. Thank you so much for being here. Now I'd like to introduce LoriAnne Barnett-Warren. And LoriAnne is a specialized forestry program manager, but you know, I'm going to get your slides up. And so here you go, LoriAnne.
Thanks. Forestry, we got it. And I am also going to read from my notes, which is totally against my extension upbringing because I feel like it's not very dynamic, but I also don't want Chris to get mad at me for being the reason that we're late. So while he brings up the slides. Anybody got any jokes? It's all right. Dun, dun, dun. While he's doing that, I might as well just introduce myself. Yeah, there we go. I am LoriAnne Barnett-Warren. I am the Specialized Forestry Program Administrator. So a lot of what I do now is administration, but I love it. I've got an awesome team that I work with, many of whom are in the audience here. Raise your hands. Raise your hands. Yay. Right there in the middle. Thank you. And I am also a certified arborist. So the other thing that I do, local friends might recognize me from some of the volunteer networks I run outside of my role with forestry. I'm also the executive director of the Arizona Master Naturalist Program and the Arizona Association for Environmental Education. So those things are very much intertwined with the work that I do in forestry. And many of the attendees and presenters at this conference are partners that we work with. And I'm just lucky to be able to be in a network with you all here in Arizona, because I think a lot of us work really well together in Arizona on all the natural resource things that we do. So on behalf of our agency and our state forester, Director Tom Torres, I'm glad to welcome you to Arizona and my home city of Tucson. I do live here in Tucson. So thank you for joining us for this event, and a big thank you to Chris Jones and Arizona Cooperative Extension and the SWAAN Network for putting together this exciting program for us. You got a clicker? I mean, I went through all the trouble to make the slides. I might as well show them. Okay. So yeah, we do have forestry. Our agency's mission is to basically manage and reduce fire risk, to protect Arizona's people, our communities, and wildland areas, and to champion the health of Arizona's natural resources. So while our agency doesn't own land, we work directly with our federal, state, local, and private agencies and landowners to care for our collective forested land. And for those of you that work in urban forestry, you know that that is also definitely a kind of forestry that we embrace, and a lot of people are coming to realize the importance of urban forests in our communities. And we also house the fire agency in our agency. So we have wildland fire and fuels mitigation programs. We have fire prevention programs, including FireWise USA, which helps people make their landscapes more amenable to lack of fire as it comes through. And our agency also houses the Office of the State Fire Marshal. And last week we had our Arbor Day celebration in Phoenix, and we were at the state capitol. We almost got in trouble for overfilling the room, and they were threatening to call the state fire marshal. And we were like, you guys realize he works with us, right? So anyway, that's a little bit about what our agency does. And more specifically, the programs that I administer as an administrator are programs that assist in rural and community-based forestry throughout the state. So specifically, we have 5 programs in our forestry division, which are on the slide. We've got the Forest Stewardship and Planning Program that works on forest strategic planning, due diligence, and regulatory compliance. And they also work with our NRCS partners, as you heard just a minute ago. We've got a forest operations program that offers technical support to forest industry partners and assists forestry crews in hazardous fuels reduction. We have a very robust grants program that administers funds to support natural resource work at the state, regional, and local level. There's a Good Neighbor Authority program that assists our USDA Forest Service partners who are also here. Raise your hand, Amanda. Raven, thank you, in working on keeping our forests healthy. And then the programs that I work directly with is our collective specialized forestry programs. Those are largely funded by the U.S. Forest Service, and there's several programs underneath them. The Forest Legacy Program, which works with our partners to identify and protect environmentally important forest areas. Forest and woodland health and invasive plants. Obviously, invasives are something that are a very big concern. They work on conducting surveys, evaluations, and monitoring of forest and woodland threats on state and private lands. Our specialized forestry outreach program provides communication about our program's best practices and delivers conservation, education, programming, and resources to our communities. Change the page. And finally, our urban and community forestry program provides arboriculture, technical assistance, practitioner education, and focuses on the stewardship of our state's urban natural resources. And we do have a lot of agroforestry resources available to you. We work a lot with our extension partners and other forestry folks in different states, but we have a website that it kind of explains all the things that are available to you. The biggest thing that we have is periodic opportunities for grant funding to work on community-based agroforestry projects. And Allison Fowler, our urban forestry specialist, will provide you with an overview of those resources later this afternoon. Thank you, Allison, for doing that. For example, our agency has supported funded resources created by the LEAF Network, which you'll hear a little bit more about from Ann Audrey after the morning break. We've supported the SWAAN Agroforestry Action Network for educational events and special projects, and other partners like Watershed Managed Group and things like that that you'll hear from today. We've all funded projects for them, so funding is definitely available. We also provide funding and educators for trainings, workshops, and conferences in our state. The Specialized Forestry Program has several certified arborists on our staff, and everyone has the professional knowledge and technical expertise to lead programs with partners for the community's benefit. And we've got educational resources like our Tree Steward Instructor Manual that can be used to train others and may be useful if your programs are interested in working with volunteers. That's another thing that I love to do. Work with volunteers, right, Amy and Trevor? Yeah, it's awesome. And our website has a lot of resources, tree care resources, including best practices for tree planting, pruning, watering, and tree protection. And we have links to suggested native and edible trees to plant in our community. And let's see. In closing, on behalf of our Arizona Department of Forestry and Fire Management, welcome to Tucson. I look forward to meeting those of you I haven't met today and learning from you. Please let me know if there are any other things our agency can assist with. Professional development is one of my favorite things to host and participate in, so I'm excited to hear all the speakers that have gathered today. Thank you so much.